Iyslander can just not stop winning. What's up, Steeples? Iyslander has won the Realm event, the Realm Brawl event, with Majin Bay piloting it. It was another Bull Lander, and in the finals against Michael Fang running Lexi. So, just like with the Calling Birmingham finals, I want to commentate over this one, kind of talk about Iyslander's plays, as well as give my feedback on things. So let's get into it. Let's go enjoy the game. Okay, so I have it paused in the intro here, or in the beginning here, just to look at the equipment layouts of both heroes, kind of like what we did last time. That's the first thing you want to do as Iyslander, is look at what your opponent is rocking AB wise. So Michael Fang is rocking AB2 with the trench, which the trench is something to note because it basically says to us that Warmonger's diplomacy is not going to be as effective. In case is not going to be as effective. And then Majin Bay here is rocking the Iron Rot gauntlet. So opting to go with that free block as well. And it might be just the trend we see going forward. Okay, so I had this at 1.5 speed. This game does get a little long. These guys are sure to think through their plays, and it comes out to be an incredible game, so we'll watch there. Majin, having the higher seed, actually goes undefeated into the top 8. Opts to go second. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of chats with Majin to kind of discuss how we both feel, and we both agreed that going second is what you want to do against Lexi, just because she's gonna get that double arsenal one way or the other. So being the first to present damage is not so bad. And this is a turn to do it, right? I mean, Scar for Scar into a Command and Conquer, a pretty damn good start. Michael playing very smart, not putting a card in front of Scar for Scar. I mean, Lexi blocks pretty well. Those arrows all block for 3, but she often doesn't want to block. So Command and Conquer forcing her to block helps really disrupt the plan. Now, fortunately for Michael, he has 2 cards in the arsenal, which means even if he blocks with 2 cards here, it will still be a 4-card hand he'll be working with. So maybe not a busted hand, but a good hand, right? An average hand. So Michael's not too phased by the Command and Conquer here. So it starts off at the Endless Arrow, which you gotta imagine will probably be taking these snaps here, and there it is. The only other thing is maybe a Razor Reflex, but that's not really run in Lexi decks right now. So an early snaps met by a Fate Foreseen, another card that we've been talking about that I've been big on, and I was glad to hear that he's also big on it as well, just because I think the card has a lot of value, especially with Bravo being so big, and even against Lexi. All right, so coming with a Searing Shot, looks like red. So 2-0 for 4 arrows. And yeah, it looks like it was, I don't know if it's +1 or go again. I'm guessing it's probably just +1. And Michael's just going to arsenal the card. So it's really coming in for 5, threatening 6 damage. As Iyslander, I'm sure Maj is thinking right now, how much of this do I want to cover up? Oh, it's a blue. Okay. So it has go again? No. Yes, it has go again. So Codex of Frailty coming in, which is a bit unfortunate for Majin Bay here, just because when you have no arsenal, it's means that you have to discard a card in order to gain an arsenal with Codex of Frailty, which obviously Michael didn't have any cards in hand. He's totally cool with doing that. But here you can see Majin having to discard an Insidious Chill, which Insidious Chill is such a huge card that it really does increase your win percentage by 10%. So Majin blocking with the Iron Rod Gauntlet on a Endless Arrow. I don't know if I totally agree with that line personally. I don't think I mind too much on the Endless Arrow hit. I might want to stop something else, but I don't think it's bad at the same time. So It does clean that up pretty nice. The only reason why I say that is because Michael had a ponder token, so he was going to get an arsenal one way or the other. But Michael used his snapdragons, so Caleb or Majin Bay. I mean, most people know Majin Bay, so I'm just gonna say Majin Bay. But using his iron rod, it's equipment for equipment sort of turn. So, all right. And you're not too upset, right? I mean, coming in with the Command and Conquer yet again, providing disruption. It's going to be a 2-card block, and this time Michael only have 3 cards to work with instead of the 4. Did a great, 4-card hand turn. Shot 3 arrows and had an arsenal at the end. So it was a great turn for Lexi there, um, especially after being hit by a Command and Conquer. But this will maybe not be as good. So Michael's going to have to really figure out what he wants to block with. Blocks for 5 cleanly. And now we're going to see what Michael can do with a 3-card. Oh, and there you go. His 3-card hand just became a 4-card hand with 1 resource floating. Pretty damn good. And this is why Lexi's able to just be the best aggro deck, because she can just make the most out of the little. So we didn't see a disruption spell. You typically don't want to necessarily disrupt on a 3 of a kind turn unless it's a channel like Frigid, just because they're gonna draw so many other cards, and you really want to know what they're going to be shooting as far as arrow wise before choosing to disrupt or not. I think the only time you're really going to look to give them a frostbite is, oh my gosh, we're going to see another 3 of a kind. Okay. I did watch this game before, but I briefly, I don't think I actually like watched it because I do not remember this. This is kind of gnarly. This is really good for Majin Bay here. All right, so he's gonna get hit with the Endless Winter, or the Frostlock. That's what that is. And the Endless Winter's Oldham card, which makes it where now anything Majin wants to do will cost 1 extra, and then on top of that, he can't pitch or attack with 0-cost cards. So I'm guessing that's not the case. He has none of those in hand, I'd imagine, or he plans to block with some. And this is why he didn't block the Frostlock. Blocking the Bolt and Shot here is worth so much more, especially when Voltaire is no more. And this is where losing Bullseye Bracer is really affecting Lexi. So, yeah, this Bolt Shot is probably going to take 4. But as I was saying, this is a great situation for Majin to be in, because you've seen 2 3 of a kinds already off the bat. And honestly, they came in with 2 4 attack arrows. That's not bad at all. You're kind of chilling. So this is pretty good. This is pretty good. It's probably exactly where Majin wants to be at. Now I expect we're gonna get a quiver activation here. Yep. Okay. Yep. Uh, you want to try to just maximize, your 3 of a kind turns, and at least try to shoot 3 arrows every time you play a 3 of a kind. And this is a good one, Hamstring Shot, making the first attack action cost 1 more. With 2 cards in hand, if he does have an attack action, he'll have to use Tunic. I think that's why he pointed at the Tunic. So it's going to work out, and I expect we're going to see an attack as well. Yeah, unfortunately with those big resource dice, they don't go up to 3. It's so annoying. um, all right, so okay, so yep, there's the big attack, and then having the arsenal on top of that will be great. Ymir just going being pitched. That's ideally what you want. You don't. It's not super good in the early game. It's only really good in the late game, and you can pitch stack it, but you're probably not reaching your pitch stack against Lexi. That is the truth. But this is coming in for 7 and gaining a life, so kind of like an 8. And after taking 5 damage, or sorry, 9 damage that turn, coming in for 7 and gaining life isn't bad, right? It's a little bit below what Lexi did, but Lexi had a three of a kind turn. That was the big Lexi turn, right? Also, Michael Fang used his quiver there, so we saw another piece of equipment being used up. I think this is a fine trade off. Now, these fighting spirits tend to just be taken, and that's what we're going to see here. Mostly because they don't have an on hit. And like I said, Lexi blocks fairly well, but she doesn't like to block. She very much likes to attack as wide as possible. And so that's what we're seeing here. Coming in with the drill shot, getting cleanly blocked with a sink below. Opting not to sink. Now we're seeing a bolt and shot. This is just damage, and that's why Majin just takes it. There's no on hit with this one. It's just vanilla damage. On top of that, showing a Codex of Frailty, you're not going to be playing your arsenal out because you want to keep it close so that you don't have to discard a card. Okay, so Heat Seeker is being played and then shot. Now this is a card that is worth blocking. And I think Majin has 3 cards in hand, so he certainly can block this one out. Maybe block it out, use Coronet Peak, and then move on to the next turn. But he might actually have something he's wanting to play, so I'm sure he's contemplating that. Okay, so another sink below. And this is a point where, if you had that Iron Rod, you could have blocked that out pretty nice. But, not the worst thing, I suppose. Okay, so Michael choosing for the double arsenal, even if that face down card was an arrow without go again, Michael has the trench. And that's always one extra free resource. So I think I saw that it was a Bolton shot. Okay, and we see why that the Heat Seeker wasn't double blocked here. This turn is so good. In fact, this makes perfect sense why it wasn't double blocked. You get the Aether Ice Fate out of the arsenal, and now you're going to arsenal the Channel Lake Frigid. So you kind of had to take that damage so that you could free your arsenal in order to put Channel Lake Frigid in the arsenal. This is a very good turn. This is a potential tempo changing turn. I think it is. Because right here, you're going to take at least one card out of Michael Fang's hand. You're going to take one. Probably a blue card, pitch for one AB, discard, or pay for the discard effect. And then you're staring down a Channel Lake Frigid. So that's the consequence, basically, you're looking at. He might activate Trench here, just because before the Channel Lake Frigid comes out, this would give him one extra resource. Maybe you can use that resource to AB2. I don't know. I'm kind of curious what he might choose to do here. But this is a very good turn, worth taking the 1 point of damage and giving the on-hit effect, I would say. It's just too good of a turn to pass up on for sure. Yeah, and so this is partly why we're at 1.5 speed. But I guess I'll use this time to say Majin Bey did face a Dromai earlier in the rounds. So if you guys like to see me commentate on that, the Calling Birmingham Finals video was well received, and I greatly appreciate that. I will gladly do a Iyslander versus Dromai commentating as well. To just share my thoughts on that matchup if you guys like to see it. So let me know, and then we can get that together. Otherwise, I'll just do this final. Yeah, this is a big turn. I think that's why we're seeing so much thought being laid out here, is because Michael knows that he has to navigate around this Channel Lake Frigid, and he's going to have to figure out how much damage he's really going to get hit here. Majin being only 10 life behind isn't the worst. It's kind of average, to be honest. But this is obviously going to give him a little bit more of a life catch up. Okay, so we're going to see the trench. This makes sense before you get like a Channel Lake Frigid. Gives you an extra resource. Now you can maybe pitch into AB a little bit more. Imagine we're going to see a blue. So we'll get 2 AB blocked and then pay for the the 2 on the on hit. Frostlock in the arsenal isn't like the most damning card. Now, he was forced to put it there with Heat Seeker, so it wasn't by choice. Um, so that's probably pretty good if you're on Majin in. Okay, so he's just going to AB1 here. Now maybe he'll pitch a blue. Okay, so he's going to discard. Okay, so this he's looking to keep card. Maybe he wants to keep the blue because he knows that channel is going to come out. But instead, he's just going to shoot the 1 Frost Lock here, revealing an ice card, so it has the fuse effect. Pitching Command and Conquer. Michael doesn't have the Snapdragons, so we're not going to see this gate go again. And again, you could run Rain Razor or Razor Reflex in Lexi, but you just generally don't. So this is probably the only attack, which is why that turn was so tempo changing, because this is an easy block 2 and come in, or even block 1 and then come in with another Aether Ice Fade or something. I am curious though, because there's a lot of thinking going on here again. So I'm sure what Majin has is like 2 good lines of play. It's just trying to figure out which one's the best one. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So that's very, very interesting. I wouldn't have expected Coronet Peak to get blocked with here. Reason being is that Coronet Peak is is very good to keep channel around. It allows your channel like Frigid to only have to. Okay, okay. So now this is becoming a little bit more clear. Majin had 3 cards that have a 0 cost, and so that hitting just would not make any of this work. He does get to do an Aether Ice Vein here again, and again with a channel like Frigid in the arsenal. This time, I'd imagine the frosting is going to get pitched into the Waning Moon. So we're seeing Majin present 6 damage, which if all hits will even out the life totals, and that's really good for Iyslander for sure. All right, so Michael's gonna load up here, okay, and then pitch into the pitching in such a way to have resources floating to also stop a little bit. So prevents 3, takes only 3. And we'll probably just shoot this searing shot for, since it's a free arrow. So again here, just you can kind of just still sit on that Channel Lake Frigid, right? Like you're waiting for a very wide turn to use Channel Lake Frigid, which Lexi's going to want to give at some point. This could be a 2-card block coming in with an attack. This could be a 1-card block and another Aether Ice Vein deal. Okay, yep. All right, Wardmongers. Yep, that makes sense on why he was reading it. I actually had to get a judge call because I wasn't 100% sure on how it worked. It works a little bit differently on Talishard, which was why it just didn't make sense to me. Okay, so only coming in with a Brain Freeze fuse. It is a good fuse. It does provide disruption, but it's not like as big of a turn as maybe you would want. Like coming in with an attack would be awesome here. But it is still disruption, and more than likely the Blizzard will be pitched to Waning Moon. I guess it will be kind of dependent on what Majin sees from Michael's hand. A lot of hesitation here. So Michael has a few options. He can activate Voltaire in response and like save a 0-cost arrow by arsenaling it. He can save a 0-cost arrow by pitching for it to activate Voltaire. But if he has too many zeros, he can't save them all. So there's a Bolt and Shot. That's a 0. I can't necessarily see what it looks like a Falcon Wing on the very end, but I can't make out what the other 2 cards are. So he does have 1 0-cost card. I'm sure he's going to try to look to get rid of... Okay, Rain Razor. Very interesting. Okay, so he's going to pitch the Bolt and Shot to load up the Falcon Wing. That makes sense. 3 of a kind Rain Razor. Whoa. Um, won't have the resources to pay for it though because of how this is being pitched. That brain freeze was very disruptive. Um, yeah, I imagine what we're going to see here is probably just going to use the waning moon here, and then I think Michael's just going to shoot the Falcon Wing and maybe Arsenal the three of a kind or Rain Razor. I could see that. Okay, so he's going to pitch the Rain Razors and shoot the infecting shot. Okay. All right, so he's fine giving up the Rain Razors. Majin blocks that out. Nice. And now we have a three of a kind and a Falcon Wing. That's a pretty good setup. And of course, it's met by a command and conquer. What a series of turns for Majin Bay. It starts off with a red Aetherized Fan to a yellow, into a critical brain freeze, and now a command and conquer. So, as mentioned before, that tempo was really done against Michael Fang when Majin decided to take the Heat Seeker and then come in with the red Aetherized Flame, putting a channel like Frigid in the arsenal, and it's been all gas for Iyslander since. So the fact that there's still a channel like Frigid to have to worry about is just so frustrating for Lexi right now, I'd imagine. All right, given the clean block, you don't want to lose your last three of a kind. So you got to kind of get the clean block there. I'm curious. Yeah, it's going to start off with the arrow here. This will be the decision point. Like, all right, are you going to channel like Frigid or not? This is kind of like the tell, basically. So that's what Michael's trying to decide. If Majin used the channel like Frigid, he probably doesn't use the three of a kind and just kind of sits on that. But here, Majin did not use the channel like Frigid. Now, this could be a situation where, yeah, so if he did use it there, he might as well three of a kind now. I would definitely agree with that. So Majin might be baiting for that three of a kind to come out, knowing that it was there. It also might be that he doesn't have an ice card in hand to keep the channel like Frigid. If we remember, the Coronet Peak got blocked off, so he'd have to figure out a way to pitch an ice card in order to keep channel like Frigid around. Gonna let the three of a kind resolve, so I do wonder if that might just be the case. Let's see what arrows come out. Another Falcon Wing. Falcon Wings are the arrows you just almost always just take damage for. It is just a head jab. This one's going to be coming in for 4 though, but it's just damage really. Like damage sucks, but I don't know. Okay, so we do see an ice card that blocks it, Frost Hex. Really only meant for blocking in this matchup. As you can tell, like Michael hardly have ever gotten a Frost bite. Okay, so Bone Shot just coming in for a 3. So this is a blue. This is just put a block in front and then feel good about it because this has been another bad three of a kind turn, unfortunately. Falcon Wing, Bone Shot just really isn't like doing any damage. And here again, the Bullseye Bracers is sorely missed because this would be a great turn to use it to get that last arrow off. But we're going to see a sync on it. And choosing the sync, so. And just an arsenal, and just those three of a kind turns have just been brutal. They just really haven't lined up. All right, and we're going to see Majin just set up here. Set up using an Insidious Chill. We know it's a channel like Frigid in the arsenal that can still buy time, which is nice. Codex of Inertia. Okay, so that is going to force out the channel like Frigid. If you're getting risk of losing it, now's the time. On top of that, Majin provided no disruption on that turn, so Michael got to keep 4 cards of hand plus an arsenal. So it's a good time if any to activate channel like Frigid to provide some disruption. He's just going to have to be mindful that he's going to have to find a way to use an ice card here in order to keep it around. He also has Tunic on 3, so I'd imagine we can get a Waning Moon for 3 here. Okay, so Michael pitching here. Load up He's thinking a lot of thoughts in this one. All right. All right. Yeah, it's sound like Frigid is pretty good at making decisions hard. Um, so all this is in response to the frostbite trigger, so that he doesn't have to pay extra into it. Now he has the frostbite. Now channeling Frigid is out. All right, so he's gonna pay extra into it, and I wonder if this is okay. So this is just +1. So this is the action point. That's all there is to it. Um, now if Majin wants to keep the channeling Frigid, he's going to have to take the damage basically. If he wants to have an arsenal, you don't actually have to always have an arsenal against channeling Frigid, or when you have channeling Frigid out, I should say, because that's disruption enough. But just goes ahead and takes the whole damage. Now this is pretty interesting because maybe the Blood Rock Pox is wanted. It's a way to pitch for like the channeling Frigid. You can pitch an ice card and that works out perfectly. Scar for Scar coming in for 4. That's why that card wasn't used to block with. It's not a great blocking card, but it's a great attacking card. 4 of Go Again. We'll kind of see what that means. Okay, gets block here. So Michael just playing a little defensively. And 2 8 Command Conqueror. So just like Maj's first turn, this is just followed up. They just kind of found each other too. It happened to the draw. A great way to threaten that Codex of Inertia, which can be a killer. Now, Majin will be taking 2 extra with this, unfortunately, because of the Blood Rock Pox. But still providing disruption, and 6 damage is no, like, nothing to scoff at. I mean, 6 damage, putting Michael down to 13. Not in kill range at that point, but taking any point of damage as that puts him into the official kill range. I almost wonder if it depends on the hand, right? But like the problem is that Michael blocked Scar for Scar with 1 card. So if he was to block out this command card, he'd have 1 card in hand, which wouldn't be good because even if he played the Codex of Inertia, he had to discard that card. So he doesn't have a lot of good outs. I almost wonder if he has to take the Command and Conquer in order to have some sort of turn to shoot back at, and that's what's going to happen. That makes sense. Iyslander gets to keep her channeling Frigid. No arsenal, but that's okay when you have channeling Frigid. Playing a Rain Razor here and then into a Codex of Frailty. Again, no arsenal, so this is kind of the good time to do it. Forcing Majin to discard and then coming in for, let's see, it'd be for 4 + 2. So coming in for 6, threatening 7. It's pretty good. And that's going to be lethal. So threatening lethal here, forcing a block, also, but already forcing a discard, and then you're kind of forcing Majin to, if it's going to be a Command Conquer he puts in the grave, to use a card to come in with Command Conquer. If it's Scar for Scar, then that's just an easy come in for 3 for free. So I'm kind of curious what attack he decides to put in. I think he could even do Fiendless Fighting Spirit just because it comes in big and gains a life. But you probably would go Command and Conquer because Michael will be getting a arsenal from that Ponder token. So really deciding which one he wants to use here or which one he wants to grab. It seems like he already figured out what card he's going to discard. Maybe. This is the final, so it does make sense that you're going to really think things out here. There's a lot of money on the line, a gold foil and PTI and all sorts of good stuff. So it is definitely worth the time to really plan things out meticulously here. And I gotta wonder if Manja's just thinking, how many times can I use this Insidious Chill? Because we did already see a good amount of Aether Ice Veins, and I can tell you because his deck list is online, so it is not a big tell. But Manja does not run blue Aether Ice Vein, which was insane to me when we started talking about it. I kind of understand his reasoning now, but very much like the card. Okay, and so he discards a yellow Aether of Ice Vein. He's going to double block that out, prevents the on hit, and then that's going to allow for a Scar for Scar into a... Oh, yep. Forgot the Ponder. Nothing has happened, so I do wonder if they would allow this to go back. But I don't know. I have no idea. I think Michael did draw up. I don't know if he put it in the exact order or if he shuffled his hand a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't even know if he looked at his cards. But either way, pretty rough, to be honest with you. Because as Lexi, you basically always want to have an arsenal. The big point here is if he doesn't get the Ponder token, what time better than now to block with a New Horizon, right? I mean, I don't think the game's getting to the point where I don't think you're gonna have double arsenals anymore, anyways. Okay, and yeah, you can just tell by the body language that he's not gonna be able to get it, and that's unfortunate. And it's a long day. It's a long day. It's hard in the finals to keep it 100% clean. So he's going to come in for Scar for 3 because of the Frailty token. That one does still stay. That's a clean block there. And now just gets the Arsenal, and we're kind of curious what he might have in that Arsenal at this point. All right, so Majin's going to come in, shoot a Bolt and Shot for 4. This does have the on hit of a reload, but with 2 floating, I gotta imagine like Michael's probably not going to opt on the reload and instead opt on using the bow to give +1 and then shooting the arrow. The only time I might really consider the reload is if I am in fear of a frostbite and my arrow costs 1. But if it's a 0 cost arrow, I think you still just reload, use Voltaire, and shoot. Especially when Masha's at 3. You want to kind of threaten lethal as much as possible. Okay, so he is going to do it. And this is a 0 cost arrow. So this makes sense. Coming in for 5. 1 AB. So that's pretty nice. Blocks the 5 there. And then, yeah, here we go. All right. Oh, there it is. Yellow Aether Ice Vein in a time like this is basically sealing the win. Because this is going to take 2 cards out of hand. Majin or Michael can do some acrobatics here and possibly get an arsenal. If he can arsenal a 0 cost arrow, that might be preferable. But this is still very, very rough. Ideally, he can pitch a... Oh man, I don't even know what you would have to do. You're going to have to pay for the Insidious Chill. So maybe you discard like a red card. And then for the Aether Ice Vein, you take 4, pitch a blue to pay for it. Okay, so he's gonna load up the 0 cost arrow. He's gonna double load and just take the 4. And so he's basically this is right where Iyslander wants to be. So Michael's at 9 now, shooting for 4. That is lethal range. You wouldn't need too much at this point. You would just need a 3 arcane in arsenal, 3 arcane in hand, and then Waning Moon. But if you have like a 5 arcane or a 4 arcane, it makes those turns even easier. I'm not quite sure what's in the arsenal. He decided to keep, or like decided to, that it was a good enough card to put in arsenal, and so instead of attacking with a command card, he attacks Scar in order to allow him to put that card in arsenal. So I'd imagine it's some sort of arcane. I just don't know necessarily what's in his hand. I'm sure that's kind of what he's thinking. We know that this is only coming in for 4 and nothing else. It is lethal, so he will have to block it. And that might be what he's doing here, is kind of just doing the math. So blocking it here just kind of tells me he didn't have the arcane to finish up the game. And yeah, what we're seeing here is it was two red attacks and a polar blast. That's generally not going to get you there. But when you're coming in with an E strike, that's really good, right? Michael at 11 can't just take 7. No way in hell. That's too disrespectful. So he's going to have to block this with at least one card, but probably two, which gets him down to 10, which is a lot easier. I don't know why I thought he was at 9 before. He wasn't in necessary kill range. He had to have quite the. I think I was looking at Maj's life or something. I'm not sure why I said 9, but anyways, was not in the kill range. Okay, there's an ice bolt. So an ice bolt in the arsenal actually makes a lot of sense. That's so good in the late game. This is going to be 6 damage here, and Michael has to kind of think: do I want to have the arsenal, or do I need to just pitch for damage? Because there's no guarantee that this Heat Seeker is going to hit. Maja can double block and arsenal a card. By doing it this way too, you actually prevent a. Okay, so he's gonna take that, and now it's coming in for 3. So this will put Michael down to 7 if this connects. Okay, so that's what I was actually going to say. If you do it now, you prevent a Rain Razor from being able to be played because he'd have no extra resources for it. So that was pretty good. An E Strike here, probably drawing card. You could threaten lethal, but like 5 damage is just as big as 7 damage when you're at 6 life against Iyslander. And I like the block there that Majin did, using a Tunic plus a Fate Foreseen. That was a great clean block. That's why we love Fate Foreseens. But Tunic is really not needed anymore. It's kind of done its job. We're really in the end game here. Michael taking use of his own armor there and blocking out the damage. Has 2 cards in hand. If he could shoot 2 arrows without dying, which is a tall ask, that might be able to get him the tempo back. That arsenal card from E Strike is a random arsenal, so it's not necessarily what Majin decided to put in it. So let's see. Okay, so he's gonna shoot the bolt and shot for 4. That's a great way to start. It's a cheap arrow. It comes in for 4. It's not lethal, but it makes the next arrow lethal. So that's nice. Red one would have been fantastic. All right, so I'm very curious to see what that arsenal card that Majin has is. Okay, and we're gonna see it get played out. Oh, it was an Aether Hill. Wow, that's good. That's really good. So he's gonna threaten 5 damage here. So Michael just cleans up, prevents that, and then is going to prevent. Let's see. I'm not sure if that's 1 or 2. Okay, it's a blue, so he prevents. Just takes 1 here from all the arcade, and now we know that bolt and shot is just 4. There's no tricks around it. That's going to put Majin at 1. But yeah, that's so killer. That's so killer because you got to put 2 cards in front of this. It is threatening lethal on its own at this point, and I gotta imagine the Arsenal is a good card. This is why I love Wounded Bull. It's times like these. This is where Wounded Bull just shines. Is in the late game coming these big attacks that is going to demand blocks from your opponents. It's going to demand respected blocks. And we are seeing that here. 3 cards. So more than likely, Michael is just going to move to Arsenal here. In which Majin, I'm sure, will have some sort of response. And here is the card, a Cold Snap. Not deaf. It just allows you to draw a card. Waning Moon is basically free here, though, so it is prevented. And then doesn't he have the kill in hand? He does. Okay. There it is, the Realm 5K Brawl, won by Iyslander, by Majin Bay piloting it. So very good on him. I hope my commentary, kind of helped explain things on the Iyslander side and was at least entertaining enough to watch through. But just want to say, guys, I appreciate it. Let me know if you want me to do the Draw My One. Otherwise, until then, keep on fabbing.